everyone, welcome back to the Undercut and welcome to our review and analysis of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It is the final race of the season. We are done.
We are done.
Done for the entire year. So in this podcast, we're going to be discussing obviously the race, going through maybe some emotional moments, Lewis Hamilton's final race, Carlos Sainz's final race, and a bunch of others. For their respective teams, and then obviously giving our driver ratings.
Yeah.
So first of all, I mean, it was a good Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
It was a very good Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Somewhat going on everywhere at all times. Obviously, amazing start. Max crashing.
Yep, that's a key moment.
We'll get into that in a bit.
Yep.
Piastri having to come through, obviously picking up that penalty going in back of Colapinto.
Yeah.
Unfortunate for Colapinto that.
Yeah.
He did not finish the race. And then just battles left, right and centre. Obviously Gasly running P3, Hulkenberg at one point P5. It was going mad.
It was. Yeah, like you said, stellar performance from Gasly, I feel. We'll get into that. Verstappen crashing was a big one. My I guess you could say, most memorable sort of performance was, I gotta say, Lewis Hamilton. Charles Leclerc, I definitely think deserves driver of the day, but Hamilton to come through and then overtake George Russell in the last lap was something special to end off his Mercedes career.
Yeah, it was a good move as well. Good move. Round the outside turn 9. I mean, it wasn't an easy move. George didn't make it easy. He had to pull it off. It wasn't like George let him through or anything. He pulled it off last lap, last chance really. You can't overtake really after that.
No.
So, and he did it. And fair play.
He did. Very, very good move from Lewis Hamilton. I mean, his time's done at Mercedes now.
Yes.
Moving to this team here next season.
Yes.
It's been a very wild ride for Lewis the last couple of years at Mercedes.
Wild's one word.
Yeah, moving on to Ferrari. For some reason, it didn't feel like the end of Hamilton and Mercedes. I don't know why. All week, I mean, these last few races, I guess, I haven't had that. Like, it hasn't clicked yet.
No.
I don't know why.
Still not clicked now.
No. I think I'm gonna have to wait until Hamilton.
You see him in red.
See him in red, but it hasn't clicked that he's not in Mercedes yet.
Yeah, I mean, season. It'll come as soon as you see him in that red on that reveal.
Yeah. But Toto was happy in the end. It was a very good race. One of the best Abu Dhabi races I think we've had.
Yeah, it's got to be up there. I mean, you do not like Abu Dhabi.
No,
or you didn't used to.
No, it's grown on me. Let's get into the driver ratings.
Straight into the ratings.
Yeah, let's do it, shall we? So obviously, the way the driver ratings work is we rank every driver from 1 to 5, 0 if it was an absolute stinker, which I don't think we had any of them this weekend. No. Obviously, judging both off qualifying and the race, and we'll go from last to first in the order that they finished. So of course, DNFing on the first lap, didn't even make it round the first lap, was of course Checo Perez.
And what a time to finish his career, I think.
I mean, not confirmed.
It's not confirmed, but I think it is.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't see him lasting.
He needed a good race. I think
he
to keep.
Race.
Yeah, he needed a good race to keep his hopes alive for that Red Bull seat next season.
Yeah.
And granted, I don't think it was entirely his fault.
I don't think it was his fault at all.
No.
So it's not entirely. It wasn't his fault. And to be fair to Sergio Perez, he got Q3.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Did start
Started 10th.
10. Okay.
But to be fair to Perez, he only started 3/10 behind. His lap was 3/10 off Max.
Yeah.
Which, whenever we talk about the second driver for Red Bull, we always say 3-4 tenths behind Max is where you expect him to be.
Yeah.
So Perez probably did what you need him to do. Yeah,
and unfortunate for him, he went out, so you can't really judge his race.
No.
Which I've given him a 3.
Yeah, I mean,
you have to.
I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, yeah, 3. I agree. A 3 for Sergio Perez.
That's his highest score in the last
5 races.
The last time he got a 3 was 8 races ago.
Oh God, that's like almost mid-season.
He hasn't had higher than a 3 since China.
Bloody hell.
China the 4th race.
Yeah.
Yeah, since then.
Crazy. So, yeah, it's a 3 for Sergio Perez. Yeah, he actually was having a good weekend. So it's kind of unfortunate for him. People will see 10th and will go, shocking. Shouldn't be 10th.
Yeah.
But,
you got to look where Max was.
Yeah, you got to look where Max is, first of all. Second, he actually made it to Q3.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
he doesn't usually do that.
No, he doesn't. Of course, also not finishing was Franco Colapinto.
Yes, obviously, he started last. He did have the penalty.
Yes.
He wasn't far off Albon in qualifying, if I remember right. He wasn't a million miles.
He wasn't a million miles away from Albon.
And then he was in and amongst it during the race until he went out. Obviously, not sure why he went out.
I think there was damage from the collision with Piastri.
From the collision with Piastri. It wasn't more of a racing incident, that one.
Yeah, I thought the Piastri penalty was quite hard.
Yeah, but I don't think it was either. Like, it wasn't Colapinto's fault.
No,
and again, you can't really. It's hard to judge it. I'm gonna give him a 3.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, I've gone with a 3 for Colapinto. I think he's
last race in Formula 1 potentially.
Yeah, potentially his last race. Obviously, I think there's a backlog of incidents for Williams that have maybe halted the progress of that car.
Yeah.
So, Colapinto and Albon both not being able to get out of Q3 for the majority
Q1.
of the last Q1. Sorry, for the majority of the last few races is on them.
Yeah.
But given the car that Colapinto had, I don't think there was much more he could have done. And obviously, like we said, he was ran into the back of, and that incident, of course, wasn't his fault.
No.
Moving on, 18th, had a fantastic qualifying, did not finish the race. Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah, that qualifying was a 5.
Yeah, well, I mean, what a qualifying that was.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
The race was definitely a 1. Borderline 0.
Yeah, that race was awful from Valtteri.
Yeah, and I have given him a 1.
Have you? Wow, that's really hard. I have given Valtteri the benefit of the doubt here.
Well, you see, I was going to give him the benefit of the doubt if it was just the Perez incident.
Yeah,
he fully speared Magnussen.
Yeah, he did.
Out of nowhere. He broke his own suspension.
Yeah.
Took himself out of possibly his last ever Formula 1 race.
And ruined Magnussen.
Ruined Magnussen's race and Haas's chance of P6 in the constructors.
Yeah, that's true, because Magnussen was running in the points.
Yeah.
Net in the points. Obviously, he pitted at that point, and Bottas just ran into it.
So, it's a 1. He ruined a race completely. He ruined a constructor's chance, and he's ruined his car, and he's ruined his last potential race ever in Formula 1.
That's harsh but fair. I give him a 2 because...
Hey, points are scored on Sunday.
Yeah. I know, but I gave him a 2 because I never expected Bottas to score points.
No.
So
but you didn't expect him to spear Magnussen.
No, but like you said, I didn't expect. I gave him a 2 because the qualifying was so good.
Yeah, it was. It was.
It was fantastic. No, I'm going to stick with a 2. I'm going to nice Bottas here. His final race, I'm a nice him. Yeah. Okay, 17th also did not finish was Liam Lawson.
Yes.
Spent the majority of the race at the back because the team decided to mess up the pit stop.
Yeah, it's not his fault.
No.
Not his fault. I mean, he was running P10 at the end of the virtual safety car.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
I remember. Obviously,
didn't
both
pit
RBs when, was it qualified P11 and P12?
Yeah.
Between them. So, decent qualifying. Average, hadn't pitted. I think he ran okay. It wasn't his fault where he was. Showed decent pace. Obviously, engine blew up at the end.
Yeah.
I gave him a 3.
Yeah, I gave Liam Lawson a 3 as well. Not his fault.
No.
Not most of the things that happened to him. He qualified decently well, close to Yuki. Was running well, and obviously, I mean, I just don't think the RB has the pace of the Haas, the Alpine, even the Aston Martin this weekend.
No.
So I don't think points were ever on the cards. Both of them fell back, didn't they?
Yeah.
So, yeah, a 3 for Liam Lawson. Then, of course, running into the finishers, 16th was Kevin Magnussen.
Yes, he finished the race still.
He did.
After getting absolutely taken out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it wasn't great.
No, it wasn't great. It wasn't great at all.
What did I score, Kevin? I gave him a 3. Now, look, he was running great. He was probably on for a 4.
Yeah.
But Nico completely outdid him.
Yeah.
In the qualifying. Did Kevin make it into Q3?
No.
No, he didn't. So that was shocking. But he was running a great race. Got speared by Bottas. Was not his fault at all.
Yeah. And got the fastest lap.
And he did get the fastest lap. So is 3 a bit harsh? I don't think so because of the underlying pace that Haas had in qualifying. I think he should have got Q3 there. But he didn't, and I give him a 3.
I think 3 is fair.
I think you could have argued a 4.
I've given Kevin Magnussen 3. Because I saw the Haas both, they had both good races, but Hulkenberg was that little bit ahead, which sort of distinguishes them apart, I think.
Yes.
But Magnussen was running a good race. Obviously not his fault that he got speared and demolished by Bottas. 15th was, of course, in his first F1 race, Jack Doohan.
Not bad from Doohan. Not bad. I've got to add him to my list.
I had to add him to my list. I'll start then, I guess. I've gone with a 3 for Jack Doohan, just straight up. Straight down the middle.
Yeah.
I think, obviously, we gave higher scores to the likes of Behrman and Colapinto when they first did that, when they had debuts this season, but they kind of did a bit more.
Yeah.
We never expected them to go above and beyond, but they did.
No.
Doohan hasn't set the world alight, but it wasn't a bad race.
But in fairness to Doohan, when you look at Colapinto and Behrman when they came in, yes, they haven't raced Formula 1, but they had been racing Formula 2.
Yeah, Doohan has been out.
Doohan has been out of the car.
Yeah.
He's only really done a little bit of testing.
Yeah.
Here and there. So he's not been in the car. So fair play for Doohan. He wasn't like he was off the pace as well. We had a battle with Stroll.
No. Yeah.
So no, it was good, and it's promising for Alpine that he's actually not been whitewashed this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. I've gone with a 3 for that reason.
Yeah.
It was okay for Jack Doohan. It was okay. Hopefully he can build upon that and go forward. 14th was Lance Stroll.
Yes, I have given Lance a 3 as well. I mean, I don't think he was a million miles off Fernando. I think that Aston was trash.
Yeah, the Aston was ass.
The Aston wasn't great. I think Fernando's just outperformed that car, as he does quite often.
Yeah.
But I think Stroll did the best he could. He wasn't completely outshone by Alonso this weekend massively, as we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
And I think Stroll did what the Aston was.
Yeah, I agree. I've also gone with a 3 for Lance Stroll.
And he kept out of trouble.
Yeah, he did. You can stop saying I've got an agenda against Stroll now, because he has, in comparison to his teammate, had a stinky race.
Yeah.
But obviously, he is, he's probably performing to where that Aston is at.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think Fernando is probably just slightly edging it forward a little bit more. But yeah, it is just an average race. Stroll won it. He was in amongst a few of the cars, no end of the points. And you know what, to be fair, 13th, Zhou Guanyu.
Zhou Guanyu.
Yes, Zhou Guanyu.
I mean,
13th.
fair play to Zhou. I mean, a lot of drivers did go out.
Yeah.
But ahead of Stroll.
Yep.
Ahead of Doohan.
Yep.
Ahead of Magnussen.
Yep.
He kept out of trouble.
Yep.
Obviously not great qualifying in terms of if you're scoring against his teammate.
Yeah.
It's pretty poor.
Yeah.
But I have given Zhou a 3. Bang average. He had a good race. You know where he was finishing. He didn't ever flash up. But he's consistent, Zhou. He's not fast, but he's consistent.
Yeah, I've gone with a 3 for Zhou.
Yeah.
I'd say it's probably a high 2, low 4. You know what I mean? High 2 qualifying.
Yeah, it was
low,
a 2 quali.
Very low 4.
It was a low 4 race.
I reckon it tips over to a 4 because he's beaten a few cars.
Yeah.
He's had a very good race, kept it clean.
But it's a 3.
Averages out of a 3.
Yeah.
For Zhou, for me, I agree. 12th was Yuki Tsunoda, making an absolute pain of everyone's existence.
He was. I mean, I've given him a 3.
Mm-hmm.
I have given him a 3. I think qualifying, he did the same as Lawson. Absolutely fine with that.
Yeah.
He did fuck up the start.
Yeah, he did.
Absolutely bottled that. But he did well to get himself back in the race.
Yeah.
He did well to get himself at one point in the points. And he battled hard. He didn't want to give up positions.
Yeah.
And at the end, he beat Lance Stroll.
Yeah, he did. I've also gone with a 3 for Yuki Tsunoda. In fact, a lot of 3s going out this weekend.
Yeah, I don't think there was very many poor races by people other than Bottas.
Yeah, it was kind of just sort of, it was where you'd expect everyone to sort of...
Near enough, yeah.
But, yeah, it's a 3. I mean, this leads us on to the age-old question then, doesn't it? You know, Yuki battled hard, and you think with a quicker car, for example, the Red Bull... Is he further up the road? Is he putting in good performances? Like we haven't seen?
I think he is. I think, obviously, Max being in that incident, if Yuki was where Perez was, I don't think, Yuki qualifies in 10th.
Yep.
I think Yuki's further up. And potentially Yuki's in and amongst picking up a podium with Charles being so far back as well.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of them, isn't it? I think you know, even though Lawson didn't have a weekend where it was terrible, a lot of things that happened to him weren't his fault. I think I'd still edge Yuki having a better weekend.
And I think Yuki has, even since Lawson came in, probably one weekend where Lawson's done Yuki over since Lawson has come in. Other than that,
you know, in all the main races, Yuki is 6-0 in qualifying to Lawson.
Yeah, well, in all the main races.
In the main races, yeah.
Yeah.
So, just saying. If you think Perez is bad in qualifying, that's all I'm saying.
No, but Lawson's not been bad in qualifying.
No. He's not been terrible.
He's been there with Yuki.
Yeah. 11th, Alex Albon. I mean, cracking race. Obviously went out in Q1, but that Williams is dog. Yeah, the Williams is ass.
Be 11th. See, unfortunate for him. If he got a point, it'd be a 5.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's a 4.
Yeah, I agree. I've given Alex Albon a 4. I think if he'd hung on and gotten a point or 2, it's a 5. But it's a 4 for Alex Albon. Good way to end the season, I think. Gives a little bit of hope for next season. Got Carlos Sainz joining the team. Will he beat Sainz next season? We'll see. Wait for our predictions on that one. We'll see who we put on top there. But yeah, good race from Albon. And, not bad. Good way to end the season, I think.
He needed that as well. He's had a few stinkers recently, Albon.
He has. I mean, looking back at our ratings for Albon, he had a fantastic season up until maybe the last third, and then he's had a few dips here and there.
Pretty much since Colapinto's
pretty much since Colapinto came in. So yeah. Okay, 10th in the points positions, Oscar Piastri.
Yes, Oscar. Now, topsy-turvy race for Oscar.
Yeah, bro. I mean, he went through trials and tribulations. Let's just say that.
Put it on the front row.
Yep, good qualifying.
So, good qualifying. Obviously, Lando out-qualified him, but he put it on the front row. You can't ask for anything more.
No.
And then Max came along.
Yeah.
During the race. Ruined pretty much his race.
Yeah.
And picked up a penalty for going into the back of Colapinto. Was it Oscar's fault? The FIA thought it was. It's a slightly harsh penalty. If you were to put blame, it is Oscar.
I think it's a 60-40 situation.
Yeah.
60% it's Oscar's fault, 40% racing incident.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously Colapinto moving under braking obviously spooked Oscar, and Oscar's gone into the back of him. But it's not Colapinto's fault because obviously he's avoiding the car in front of him. Oscar's gone in the back because of it. I think it is a racing incident personally. I mean, it's a restart incident. You know, you got cars all around him. But obviously the blame still falls slightly to Oscar. You can't run in the back of someone. So
no, you can't. But he made a pit stop. Then got the 10 seconds, made another pit stop, saved that 10 seconds, still finished in the points. Very good race still. Yeah. It's a 4.
4? Wow, okay.
But it's a very good race. It's not his fault for where he's ended up.
I've given Piastri a 3. I can't justify a 4, I don't think.
But the thing is, though, he got put in the position that he was through another driver taking him out.
Yeah, I know, but we've also got to remember that collision with Colapinto.
Yeah.
is still, if we are saying portioning towards his fault, then take the 10 seconds away and he's grabbed a whole load more points there.
Yeah, but
and he isn't stuck in traffic.
I don't think it is. For me anyway, I think it is a racing incident.
Yeah, I think it is as well, but at the end of the day, I've got to take that into account for a score.
No, you do, but I think the fact that it's a racing incident is not really his fault. Again, I think the FA have been extremely harsh on him. So again, something else that isn't necessarily his fault, and to come back to get into the points to almost beat Fernando as well. He's done really well, and it's a stunning race and a stunning comeback.
Yeah, it's a good comeback. I'm sticking with a 3. I don't think I can push a 4, unfortunately. Speaking of Fernando, 9th, Fernando Alonso.
I've given Fernando a 5 because he's beaten Oscar.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, that's fair. Okay.
He's beaten Oscar. He's held on to 9th. The Aston Martin is not a car that should be in the points.
No.
He's kept it clean, made sure he wasn't in any form of problem. And, yeah, fair play.
I've given Fernando Alonso a 4.
For what?
I've.
What more could he have done?
I've come very close.
What more could he have done this weekend?
I think he got rather fortunate with Oscar and Magnussen not being in the points. Ahead of him, should I say.
Well, yeah, but he wasn't in trouble. They were. That's not on Alonso. Just because he's not been hit or taken, you got to give Alonso praise. Them two were hit. Them two made mistakes, let's say. So, them two's problems shouldn't affect Alonso's score. Alonso kept himself clean. Alonso did Alonso things. He did the race. He got P9, and I'm backing Alonso here.
Yeah.
And what more could he have done? He got Q3 in qualifying. He got into Q3. He smashed qualifying. Started P8?
Yeah.
Finished P9. Got the points. Still beat Oscar. What more do you want from the man?
All right, fair. I'll give him 5. No, fair. I ain't arguing that one. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, 8th is Nico Hülkenberg.
Yeah, I gave him a 5 as well.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, I gave Hülkenberg a 4.
Yeah.
It's
because he didn't beat Pierre.
Yeah, so
that's where I was.
It's a stunning weekend from Hülkenberg.
Yeah.
But there's a few things that let him down. The penalty, it was his fault.
Yes.
Shouldn't have overtaken in the pit lane.
No.
Right. Number 2. I've give this criticism to Oscar, Lando. I've given it to Ferrari before. I'm gonna give it to Hülkenberg.
Yeah.
I've given it to Kevin as well.
Yeah. Championship.
When the Constructors' Championship's on the line, and granted, K-Mag getting absolutely demolished into the chicane didn't help things.
No.
But when the championship's on the line, you can't be making those mistakes. You've got to start in front of Pierre. And he was close to Pierre the whole race. He could have easily beaten Pierre if he just started ahead of him on the road.
Yeah.
So it's 4. But still, fantastic race from Hülkenberg. Another stellar points finish. Can't take that away from him, but it's not a 5 performance for me.
He was provisional pole at one point.
Yeah, he was. But he's made that mistake for me. It's a 4 for Hülkenberg.
You have convinced me to lower my score.
No, there you go. See, we're back-to-back convincing. Let's move on to the man who did beat him and arguably has helped secure.
He has
secured that P6 in the Constructors. Man, what a comeback from Alpine.
Yeah.
We didn't think they would hold it, did we?
No, we did not. And my God, has Pierre Gasly done that?
Pierre Gasly is been on fire.
Yeah.
Arguably the driver of this triple header.
Arguably, you could argue one of the drivers of the season.
Well, I wouldn't let recency bias take it into account that much.
No, but I think
that's why we do these scores.
That's why we do, and I think he's going to be quite high.
Well, we'll see, won't we, when we do our video.
I have given him another 5.
I've also given him another 5. Phenomenal performance from Pierre.
Yeah.
I think that's, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's 3 5s in a row for Gasly. Oh, no, it's not. He had a 4 in there. Oh, he had a 4, 5, 4, 5, 5. Yeah, I mean, it just tells you everything you need to know.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's had a stellar end to the season. And, yeah, I mean, hopefully, if Alpine are at any point...
And has he gone the whole season without damage?
No, he had damage in Vegas to his engine cover.
That wasn't his fault.
Well, not self-inflicted damage, but he has had damage.
But he's gone through the whole year without self-inflicted damage.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Just because the Alpine imploded itself doesn't make it his fault.
Self-inflicted damage, he's gone the whole season without. Yeah, 6th, Max Verstappen.
Yeah, I have given Max a 2.
I've also given Max a 2.
It's quite obvious why it's a 2.
Yeah.
Got out qualified by Hulkenberg.
Yeah. If anything, it's a poor qualifying by Max's standards.
It is quite poor. And he's taken out a McLaren in turn 1.
Yeah.
Which we did call.
Yeah, we did.
And yeah, the Red Bulls just look quite slow in general.
Yeah, I can see why Max did send it. I think he knew that the McLarens and the Ferraris probably had the pace.
Yeah.
So he probably had to sort of get in front while he could to make the most of the race, but obviously that ended up sending Oscar into oblivion.
Yeah.
But it's a 2 because of that incident. But it's not a 1, like we probably would give Perez if he did that, because Max Verstappen does Max Verstappen things, and even when he pirouettes into turn 1, takes out a McLaren, gets 10 seconds worth of penalties, he still somehow manages to finish 6th.
Yeah.
How does he do it? I don't know.
I don't know, but he got rather fortunate with that pirouette as well.
Yeah, he did actually, to be fair.
So
yeah, but it's a 2 for Max Verstappen. It's 5th is George Russell. Very good race from Russell.
Very good race, decent qualifying. However, was it 7th he got quali? P7? Yeah. I have given him a 4 this weekend.
That's fair.
I don't think it's a 5. I think obviously he got out qualified by quite a few people.
Yeah.
But he's had a pretty great race. Got stuck behind Pierre though. But then Lewis has come through from P16 and beaten him. Yeah. It could be a 3.
No, it can't be a 3. No, I think...
You think about it, he got stuck behind Pierre.
No,
Charles has come from P19 and absolutely whitewashed him. Lewis has come from P16 and whitewashed him. Well, not whitewashed him, but caught him. Is it great from Russell? He's qualified P7 as well.
No, I'd say no. I'd say it's a 4 for George Russell because
I've talked myself into amending
this. The Mercedes did not have the pace in qualifying. We saw that throughout. The race pace was a tad better, I think. Still nowhere near the Ferraris. Nowhere near the Ferraris and the McLarens. So I will say there's no surprise Charles caught him, especially with the start that Charles had.
I'm telling you now, I don't think Charles catches George if George makes the move on Pierre.
No, he does.
No, because the gap between them was what, 4?
Let me tell you.
4 or 5 seconds?
Oh, it doesn't tell me the gaps.
It was only 4 or 5 seconds, I'm fairly certain.
That's annoying. It doesn't tell me the gaps.
4 or 5 seconds between... Well, that's between Hamilton and Leclerc. And George was just behind Hamilton. So...
I mean, you're fair to have that opinion.
I think if he makes the move on Pierre, he's not bogged down behind Pierre. He's away from Pierre. He's easily 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 7 seconds up the road before these pit stops come in. Does Charles catch him? I don't think so.
When it comes to Hamilton, though, I think obviously that's more down to Hamilton's brilliance than it is George's non-brilliance. George obviously on the slower...
A 3's still good.
No, but I think it's a 4. I mean, he's finished 5th in a Mercedes that wasn't beating the Ferrari and McLarens.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's been beaten by Hamilton, but Mercedes pulled a blinder of a strategy for Hamilton. They did. Leaving him out when everyone else was battling and pitting.
Yeah.
Executing the pace and then pitting later for the mediums to have the fresher, medium, quicker, lighter fuel load. Like, I think that's more of a brilliance on Hamilton's side than it is a fault of what they did with George.
Maybe it is, yeah.
And also, you have to remember, they had to cover off, obviously, they have to cover off Max, they have to cover off...
All I'm saying is, the thing is with George, he got stuck behind Pierre, he couldn't get past Pierre. That's a podium for George, if he gets past Pierre.
Maybe.
It's P3. Hamilton don't catch him and Charles don't catch him.
Maybe. fourth, of course, is Lewis Hamilton.
It's a 5.
What the fuck? No, it can't be.
It can.
It can't be.
How can't it?
Because even though it wasn't his fault in qualifying, I can't give him a 5 for being 16th on the grid.
Yeah, but he's not going to be 16th on the grid if 1, Magnussen's not there, 2, the bollard don't go underneath him. We saw there was visible evidence he was up on the delta. He was making it out. He was making it out before the bollard came from. There was evidence of the screen. They showed the evidence.
I know they did. I can't give him a 5.
You can, because it's not him that's gone out in Q1. It's not him. Mercedes fucked it for him, for one, and he was still making it out even with Mercedes fuck up. And then Magnussen decided to put a bollard under his fucking car. At what point is any of that a Hamilton error to go out in Q1? There wasn't any error by Hamilton to go out in Q1. Just all circumstances went against him. And he's driven a phenomenal race, a perfect strategy, perfect pace, caught 14 seconds up on going off mediums. Well, granted, George's hards were going off as well, but still going off mediums, which will go off quicker than them hards. And overtaking him around the outside. It is a 5. You can't penalise his qualifying when it's not him that didn't have the pace.
I see what you mean, but it doesn't seem right.
And look, it doesn't seem right. It doesn't.
I can't give him a 5.
But none of it was Hamilton's fault in qualifying. None of it. Mercedes were the ones that put him out at that point, and Toto even apologised for it, admitted that it's the team's fault. And Kevin put a bollard under his car. His delta, it's not like when the bollard went under, Hamilton was down on his delta. If Hamilton was down on the delta, it can't be a 5. Hamilton was up on the delta, and he was a couple tenths up, so he was clean through. It was clear through.
I can't give him a 5.
I mean, if you can't, you can't. But I think you're being ridiculously harsh, because he has not contributed to being out in Q1 at all. His contribution was he was making it out of Q1.
All right, it's a 5. All right, it's a 5.
Like, if it was him,
okay.
If it was him, then yeah, you're right. But it's not him.
No,
no
right.
point was it?
No, you're right. He didn't. It wasn't his fault in qualifying.
None of it was his fault.
Yeah, it was obviously an amazing race from Hamilton. It showed what he could do. I don't know, just something about that race made me feel like I couldn't give him more than a 4, just because, I mean, he has started 16th.
Yeah, but he's not him.
And could you argue maybe is it a 5 if he gets Charles?
It was a 5 even if, like, he's caught 14 seconds up on Russell. He was 20 something behind Charles.
Charles started behind him.
Charles did start behind him, but Charles was in a very good position to go round the outside of bloody everybody in the one corner.
Charles started behind him and he finished in front of him.
Yeah, Charles started on the mediums, Hamilton started on the hards.
But I will give him a 5. I don't think it's a high 5. It's very low.
No, but Hamilton started on the hards.
You've convinced me to a 5. But
yeah. I never said it was a high 5.
I don't know. I just somewhat feels wrong about doing that. But it's his final race for Mercedes.
Yeah, so shut up.
No. Leave it alone, man. Charles Leclerc finished 3rd.
Yeah, I gave him a 4.
Yeah, I gave Charles a 4.
And now, look, that race was as a 5 as you can get.
Yeah.
A phenomenal race. But he's messed up the qualifying. That's the difference between Lewis and Charles there. Charles messed up the quali. Lewis didn't.
Well.
Charles balls it up for himself.
Well.
It was very tight.
I add, though.
Yeah?
If Charles didn't balls up his quali... No, actually, hold on.
Oh, here we go.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Charles still starts in front of Hamilton. Even with the penalty. Even with the balls up. If he didn't have the penalty.
Yeah.
So, by that regard... Does Charles not deserve a 5? He had an unwarranted 10-second grid drop, 10-place grid drop.
Yeah, no, Charles can't have a 5 because it was a warranted 10-place grid because he took a new system.
Yeah, but that's not Charles'
That's not Charles.
fault.
You're right. But what was Charles's fault was going over track limits and getting his lap time deleted, which he was P1. If Charles Leclerc was there with Carlos Sainz, the pace that he showed during that race, could he have beaten Lando Norris?
No. I don't think so.
He was definitely ahead of Carlos.
Yeah, but he was 20 seconds behind Carlos, 7 seconds then to Lando.
Yeah, because his one-stop strategy started around lap 10.
Yeah, I don't think he could have done. But
look, I think if Charles is up there, McLaren have got a headache.
Yeah, McLaren they cause a bit more of a headache for McLaren, definitely.
Yeah, and I think Charles, obviously, he knew he had the 10th place. He did go over track limits, and it is a 4 because he knew and he went over track limits and it ruined his race, and he knows that.
No, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I did give Charles a 4 though.
Yeah.
Second was Carlos Sainz for last race for Ferrari.
Yeah. Interesting with Carlos, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
What could Carlos have done more?
You see, I'm gonna put this out there now. I've given Carlos Sainz a 4.
So have I. But I feel harsh giving him a 4, but I can't give him a 5.
Because the only reason I didn't give him a 5 was because I feel like he had the opportunity to make inroads on Lando, and I think if that's I think the way I justified this is if that's Charles Leclerc in second in Sainz's position from lap 1, I think there's a tighter battle with Lando.
Oh yeah.
And I think potentially Charles could have maybe had him at one point. Would he have beaten him? That's a different question.
We don't know.
But I think he gives him a further run for his money.
Yeah.
And I think given the stakes of the constructors, I think Sainz has to reach for that next level. Once again, if this is Abu Dhabi 2025 and we're in this situation, if that's Lewis Hamilton, I think he comes very close to beating Lando Norris. Carlos Sainz has an expectation on him for the team to beat Lando, or at least be closer to beating him. And in the end, he was about 8 seconds behind.
Yeah.
So I've given him a 4 because I think, not because he did anything wrong, but because I think he needed to challenge Lando more.
Yeah, the Ferraris just couldn't challenge the McLaren.
No, but I think he needed to challenge more, or at least try.
Yeah, I've given him a 4 as well.
So, well, yeah, I think it's a very harsh 4 for Carlos.
See, it's a harsh 4, but I don't feel right giving him a 5.
No, I don't either.
So.
And, of course, your race winner, Lando Norris.
I do feel right about giving him a 5.
Yes.
He's controlled the whole weekend, really.
It's been a dominant showing from Lando. Another, I wouldn't say quite another Singapore or Zandvoort, but...
No, he still had a headache. Obviously, Carlos almost got him in the pit stop.
Yeah.
Sort of time. Still had the headache, still had to keep it clean, but he did.
Yeah.
He did everything right. He brought it home for the team, and he won the constructors.
Yeah, no one looked like they were challenging Lando this weekend.
No.
So
I think if Charles was there, maybe there could have been a challenge.
Yeah, it's a 5 for Lando. Right, with our driver ratings out of the way, let's move on to who's your flop of the weekend.
My flop of the weekend. Oh, I hate to do it.
Oh God,
I really hate to do it, but you do have to give it to Valtteri.
Yeah, I agree. It is Valtteri Bottas.
Oh, Bottas.
Yeah, it has to be Valtteri Bottas. I think second to that is probably Red Bull as a whole.
I said it was Red Bull in our predictions.
You did, but I think Valtteri eclipses.
Yeah, because he just speared Magnussen.
Yeah, he speared Kevin into absolute Narnia. So yeah, it's got to be Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was looking so good after Saturday.
It did, but it's all gone downhill.
Who's your star of the weekend then?
This is a difficult one. I am giving it to the weekend.
Star of the weekend.
I'm
just gonna put this out there. I think
I've got a few.
You've got to give it to McLaren. They've won the Constructors' Championship. And Lando's dominated the whole weekend. I can't give it to anyone else. Well, at least personally, I'm going to give it to McLaren. They won the Constructors' Championship.
You see, I've got individually, though, it's Lando,
Pierre.
Yeah, it's one of them two.
Yeah.
And I can't decide which one, so I'll give them both.
Driver of the day shout out is definitely Charles.
Charles, 100%.
But of the whole weekend.
Yeah.
Lando or Pierre.
Lando or Pierre.
Yeah, but I think for me it is McLaren, just because they won the Constructors, which by the way, very happy for them. Finally, again, After so many years.
Yeah, well,
we're back.
Ferrari getting them next year.
Well, we'll see, won't we? Any final thoughts then for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix before we sign off for a few months?
No final thoughts. Just get on these videos and wait for next year now.
Yeah, well, we'll see you in the next one.